Hey, what's going on? Thanks for watching Digging Deep. If you're new to the channel, get down there and hit that subscribe for us. Drop a comment, give us a like, and turn on them bell notifications for future videos. Today, we're going to be working on this chainsaw here, which is a McCulloch 3200 32cc saw. This is one of the saws I had gotten in one of the package deals of about a dozen saws last year, and I just really haven't had the time to start going over them. That's kind of what I like to do on the side, especially when I get slow, is I'll find stuff like that and I'll fix up and then put them out for sale. So I've been dragging my butt on this, so it's about time to start diving into this. This saw seems to have pretty good compression, so it should run. And it came, there's another duplicate saw back here, but it was just missing the airbox lid, and that's it. I have not worked on one of these kind of saws yet, so this will be interesting, guys. You might see some bloopers along the way, but without further ado, let's dive in to try to get this thing up and running. All right, guys, here she is. Doesn't appear to be in that bad a shape. For starters, I'm gonna get in here and check out these fuel lines. Oh, one just fell right off there, so that's great. We're definitely going to have to do some fuel lines. More than likely, this should be interesting because I've never worked on one of these, but clutch feels pretty smooth. That doesn't smell terrible. It doesn't have like a varnish smell to it. So yeah, we did have a fuel line pop right off there, which is not the end of the world, but we'll see what we can do with this thing. All right, let's remove this airbox cover. Now I'm definitely going to be going a little slower than usual because this is the first tearing one of these apart. See what the spark plug looks like on the last time this thing was ran. That thing had a pretty good run on it, guys. I don't think you can see that well, but it's a brown, good brown colored spark plug, so that's good. Uh-oh, there went a choke part. Remember that one, guys? This is my first time on one of these. Oh yeah, it's got some good vac, good compression. It seems like. Let's throw a compression gauge on here, guys. All right, I'm gonna put this thing on the ground off camera. We'll see what kind of compression we get, guys. Alright guys, we got pretty good compression on this. 145 PSI. That ought to run, guys. That's a healthy engine there. Kind of neat how the carburetor sits right on top there. Alright, I got my little piece of fuel line. Put some gas in there. Probably a little too much there, but I just put this in, dip this down in my gas can, and I think that's a 32-to-1 mix there. So a little bit more rich than what I think this calls for 40-to-1. 32-to-1 will run just fine too. This will be a little bit more oil. All right, guys, you think this is going to pop off? I think with 150 or 145 PSI, it ought to, huh? No need to choke it. We just shot a little two-stroke gas right down in the top of the carb there. I'm an idiot. It helps put the spark plug back in there. Alright, y'all. It helps have spark plug in there. Round two. guys, so she's popping off. That's good. I was gonna say we're gonna have to pull it back out and check for spark, but we got pop off, guys. Good thing, good thing. All right, guys, so right away I'm gonna start loosening this carb up, and we will start working on getting some fuel lines replaced on this thing. Trying to get y'all where you can see a little bit better here. What kind of carbs on this? Does anybody know? Drop in the comments. I'm going with a wall burr. Like I say, it's the first time for me working on one of these saws, guys. I'll just come right on off there. We'll set this to the side. Might be a Zama, guys. China. Can't get around the Chinese carbs on these saws, guys. Here's a shot of the linkage. I'm not sure how well you can see that, guys. Hopefully that's coming in all right. But I'm definitely getting some more shop lights put up here real soon. So, really not too hard. Your choke will be right up here, just a little plastic lever to come off. And then it's a one little rod to your throttle linkage there. So we'll see how hard it is to get all that off. Sometimes, I know on some saws you have to split the handle. So it all depends. We'll have a look here. The lines really weren't too bad. I think that one just kind of popped off. And you want to make sure on your primer ball, guys, that you guys don't get them lines backwards. One's for pushing, one's for pulling. I know I've, in the past, have made that mistake myself, guys. All right, we're going to see if we can't get these lines that snapped off out of the gas tank. And what do you know? It's going to give me a hard time. All right, guys, I kind of held this saw upside down and kind of raked them out with my finger. There went the carb. Hope you all know where that went. So, the line is really still got some flex to it. So that's all right there. We'll have to pop this primer off here. Hope y'all can see. I know the lighting kind of sucks, guys. I apologize. There's the primer ball. I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this thing up, guys. Alright, guys, so what I do a lot of times, I'm going to plug this hole right up right here. Just kind of twist a little paper towel up. I'm going to go get a light for us too, because this lighting sucks, I know. I'll put this cap on. Get a little spray in there. Wipe it down again, and then we're going to go out here and we're going to hit it with the air compressor and clean everything up in here really well. Alright, guys, so we got her all cleaned out there for the most part. Well, what do you know? It's got one of those limiter adjustments, high and low speed circuits. We're going to see if we can't get rid of that, guys. Alright, y'all, we're going to tear into this carb here and try and take this limiter off. See if I can. It's a Zama carb. Alright, we're going to try and bore into this old girl. Alright, so I got my special Zama tool for checking our float height when we get there. Alright, I think this is the C1Q carb, so you just correspond with that on your special tool there. Just wanted to double check that off camera real quick. Screen looks pretty clean. That looks pretty good. The carb looks very, very clean. I know my lighting kind of sucks there, guys, but just kind of scoping everything out here. A lot of times you just want to check this diaphragm and make sure it didn't harden, just like the fuel lines. We'll see how this looks in here. Check all this out. Man, this thing was really, really clean. How this diaphragm is here. I don't think this thing's seen ethanol, really. I really don't. I'm going to slap this all back together because I got a feeling that it should be alright. See if we can't get these pain in the ass things off here. Kind of just rip the top of that piece off. And we're going to pull our high and low speed screws out. And what I did was just put an L and an H on my paper towel here. To each his own. They could even be the same ones. And we're going to do away with this thing, guys. Okay, so that was the low side. I'm going to put with my L here. And we got a lovely spring in there too. Don't lose that. Little washer. That over there. And that might not come out until we drop this high side out too, guys. Go ahead and remove it. Alright, so that dropped that right off there. Should be 2 washers and a spring. And now we have those removed, guys. It's very important to clean make sure these circuits are cleaned out. Alright guys, so there's a couple different passages here. Start out by cleaning your low speed circuit. And that's going to be the one on the left closer to the engine. And that'll be on the right there where your throttle butterfly is. So spray into that, and on most all carburetors right there for the low speed circuit, you will look for these holes, whether they'll be on the side or somewhere around that butterfly. You want to make sure when you're spraying in there, guys, one, you're not looking straight at it. Wear safety glasses because it will take your eye out. Ask me how I know. But when you spray into there, if you look real close, you see that? You want that shooting out right there. That's one of the places you want to check. So another spot you want to hit, my spray is getting low. Might have to go grab another can out in the shop. I highly recommend using a compressor too in these exact spots after you hit the low speed circuit side on the low speed screw. You check for your little tiny holes right here at the throttle. Make sure it's coming out of there. That's a part of the low speed circuit. And this little brass fitting right here, if you guys can see that, the little brass fitting there, you want to spray into it. Okay? Or spray into that and you want to see a little bit coming out of that. Okay? That little brass fitting right there. Right there. Alright, so this is kind of hard to see too, so we're going to match up with our carb onto this tool here, which is C1Q. We're going to run this across here and do a check. And you want it just to barely make contact. If it's making contact, guys, readjust it. This one here is really not looking too bad. But I think I am going to adjust it a little bit, guys. So basically, what I'm going to do is just barely bring this in and barely bend this up. Just to get it. That looks a little better, guys. Probably kind of hard to see that. That's about right there where you want it. So, if I had a carb kit, this whole needle and everything would be coming out, but I'm not doing that because this carb is just so clean, the screen and all. If you do put a carb kit in it, guys, replace that screen. A lot of times you can't see the little micro sawdust and stuff that might be on the screen. It might still appear to be alright, but it might be 60 or 70 or even more percent clogged up. So double check your screen there, guys, and make sure you can always, if you don't have one, pull the screen out, spray it with some carb clean, brake clean, clean it good, and put it back in. But I've checked this carb over pretty good, and I think we're just going to kind of send it and see what happens. I think this saw set for so long at the barn find I got this saw from. It's kind of like a cleanup deal. So we're getting that fuel out of there, and we kind of hit all your ports here just to make sure. These are usually never clogged. Okay, so that's that there, guys. It's pretty easy stuff. These two you don't have to worry about. There's your pulse line. And if you're unsure, just hit all the holes, guys. Oh, that's looking really good. Just make sure you spray all of them out good. Like I say, look, it's very important to make sure it's spraying out those little holes on the low speed side. I think that's a common overlooked problem where someone's cleaning the carb and why the saw won't run, and they put new a rebuild kit in it and it still won't run. That's something to look out for. Don't forget to shoot on over here and hit your high side. There's a little hole right here. It should be coming out, and guys, it will spray back at you. There's a little hole right here by the brass plug. It'll shoot out. My can's almost done. Fresh can works so much better too, by the way. And like I say, if you're unsure, all them little holes there, just spray them out. When I first started, that's what I did until I found out a couple little secrets and stuff. And a lot of times you can double check these things by doing a pressure test. I don't do it a lot, but if you're ever having problems with a carb, revert back to that for sure, because that'll tell you if you got any air leaks on the carburetor. Alright, I'm going ahead and putting my high side back on. So that stopped right there, so we're just going to go 1 and a little over. Half, 1, and another little bump. We'll grab our low speed side on the washer. Spring. Used to the 2 washers and then washer. I think that's how it goes, guys. Screw this in. We're going to screw it in. Like I say, it was foolish. I should have counted the turns, but more than likely I would have had to retune it anyway. Alright, feels like we're seated in place, guys. Half, 1, and a little over. Alright, guys, so we got a fully attunable carb now that we removed that limiter cap on there per factory settings and stuff. Could have left it on there, but I want to go ahead and get rid of it. Alright, guys, we set our diaphragm right back on here. And again, you don't want them crazy tight, but you also don't want no leaks, so I like to give them a good little bump. Alright, guys, we're just going to set this cover back on here. Pretty self-explanatory. A lot of times you just move that a little bit, and then that will seat the mating surface. When you struggle with getting it setting down on there, you just move the throttle linkage a little bit. Alright, so we got all that put back together, guys. You know, so in reality, guys, you would have a carb kit and tear this completely down, pop the screen out and stuff, which I didn't. I could see straight through the screen. Carb is like very, very clean. I don't believe this seen ethanol, so we're gonna try it. Alright, guys, so I had that on backwards. Double check yourself. Short side is gonna go to the diaphragm side, and sometimes I gotta look back at other saws. I ain't gonna lie, guys, just for the fact that I don't do this enough. And then you might work on a few saws that don't even have the primer ball for some time, and there's a push-pull setup with the primer ball system. Alright, guys, so now we got this on the shorter line, and that's going to go to the diaphragm side of the carb. Okay, just like that, but obviously that's not going to go on the saw like that, just so you guys can kind of see it better. And then your longer line is going to go to the tank. or the longer nipple is going to go to the tank. Alright guys, so I put this together to try to help make sense to some people. I know I can get confused if I haven't done one in a while. But so this is your diaphragm side and this is your pump side. Now if you look, your filter will be in the tank. You can just say that's the tank. Your line's feeding into the tank. That's going to pull fuel from the tank. Your carburetor is kind of going to look work on like a pump like itself. And then this here is your primer ball, which will push fuel back. Okay, so you kind of get a system, a flow system started. This stuff, if this is not set up correctly, the carburetor will not function. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you again real quick. I kind of did a setup for you. So here would be your line going into the bottom with the screw side. Okay, that's going to be like your fuel pump side, and this is going to be going into the gas tank. This line here that goes up on the diaphragm side of the carburetor, the diaphragm side is going to be where the return fuel line comes, and the primer ball helps prime the system to push the fuel back into the gas tank, which would be the longer tit there. Goes back. That's your return line back. The shorter one is your pull line, your suction line on the diaphragm side. Okay, so I'm gonna open this gas tank for you guys. We're gonna put the filter side down. Okay, so that's where the fuel is going to come into the carb. Okay, and then you go over here to your primer ball, and it should actually pull fuel through the carb. One way to tell is if you realize the primer ball is sticking, that means something is wrong with your setup and or with the carburetor. But it should, in theory, pull the fuel through the carburetor. I just wanted to kind of make that short little clip to kind of help anybody out that sees this video and is unfamiliar with how one of these carb systems work. guys, I do apologize. We left off on not having any audio. I forgot to turn on my external speaker. But this thing is running pretty good. We'll go out and fire it up for you guys. I ain't gonna lie. I did already tune the carburetor. It's idling all day long, and the throttle response on this thing is pretty freaking awesome. Much better than these Polands, I'm telling you that right now. Especially the newer ones. It just you know, if you ever hear a tuner running a two-stroke, like a two-stroke dirt bike, you'll notice a lot of the guys that are working those bikes for the pros, they're just holding the throttle and really, you know, paying attention to the throttle response and how the engine is reacting at all different points in the throttle, and then like working the rev really well and paying a lot of attention to detail on that. And let me tell you something, this is a clean, good running, good throttle response saw right here. So let's get out here and run this thing. It's getting dark. I gotta make quick work of this, unfortunately, guys. We'll slam the air filter and stuff back on. I should do that to tune it to begin with, but we're just gonna go out here while we've got some light out here and run it for you guys, and then we'll come back in and wrap this thing up. All day long. Don't rev the snot out of your saw when you first fire them up. On a two-stroke, you'll get cold seizure if you rev the snot out of them before they warm up. Get them to temperature first. Look at this throttle response. Guys, I must say, you know I got bought these things to for parts and resale. I almost want to keep this thing after running it. The throttle response is freaking awesome. You guys seen that, right? That you know, I was just so clean through the throttle range there. So that's pretty freaking cool if you ask me. I've never ran one of these saws before. My dad says he has. He's had some older ones. But yeah, I mean, I think that throttle response kind of puts Poland to shame on most of the ones I've ever ran that haven't been modified anyway. I think I'm putting this all back together right, guys. And that filter's not really that bad. So we're going to just slam it in it for now, clean up that sawdust on the bottom half of that thing. Yeah, I'll be honest, that is pretty freaking sweet how this thing runs. The carb down. It ought to run pretty daggone good. This saw has been really easy to work on. Ooh, yeah. Breakers are not looking too bad. Alright, gosh, she is looking sharp, man. A lot of these teeth. I'm sorry about my kids in the background upstairs. You probably can hear them if you listen close enough. But we're going to get this thing into wood. I had to really bring back the edge on a lot of these teeth. They were hit, but this chain still has a lot of life left in it. And we'll see how well she bores into wood tomorrow, guys. Alright, guys. We got the chain sharpened up. The saw is back together. Again, I apologize for the external microphone not working there on some of the videos, so I just threw in some background music. My bad. we're going to get this thing out here and see how it cuts. I'm very curious. I like how it runs. It's very snappy, very good throttle response. It makes me want to tear into this thing and port it. But I think we're just going to throw it out for sale and get rid of some of these saws back here and give me some space on my shelves. But let's see how this thing cuts, guys. Alright guys, so I knew I was cutting dry out there, so we pulled this all apart. This was all packed with saw. If you want to clean your blade out, you always got to check these ports here, and if they're clogged like you see right here, it's not going to oil properly. I run a razor blade down them, spray them out, blow them out on both sides, and that's my way of cleaning these things out. I'll show you real quick here. Alright, so I just usually make sure this channel is all cleaned out. I think you guys can see that there. And just scrape the razor blade right down through here. It's a good way to clean it out. And then you can look right at this hole here and get all up in there. See, it's pressing that that crud right out of there. So do it on both sides. Of course, you don't really have to, but it's a good habit to clean them both out. I mean, I guess if you would flip your bar, yep, real easy. This is what I always use, a razor blade. And like I say, get in there. Air compressor works good too. I don't have one here. I got one out in the shop out back. I do need to get a small one for in here. One of these days. Yep, that thing was packed full. This is why it wasn't oiling. Now, another thing I do once I clean these all out, make sure all that's cleaned up pretty good. We're going to blow this part of the chainsaw out too. But I'm going to fire it up real quick. We're going to look here and make sure we're getting oil and make sure it's pumping oil. If not, we're going to have to go even farther backwards. But that's a common thing for these bars to get plugged up. Alright guys, so I cleaned everything up here really well. We're going to slap this chain back on here. We are oiling just fine now. Like I say, it was just plugged up there. You know, make sure this isn't plugged up here where your oil comes out to as well. And you should be good to go there, guys. Alright guys, we're going to get this bar and chain mounted back up here. A little tight getting this chain in behind here, I will say. It's funny how all different makes and models have just certain flaws one way and certain flaws the other way. It's funny. Alright guys, so we had some oiling issues. Cleaned all that up. We got all that put back together. It's tracking good. Everything seems good there. So I'm going to go out here and cut one more time and see how this oiler's working and see if this thing don't cut a little better. That idle she's loading up on the idle circuit. So we're going to close it up a little more. There we go, picked it up. Picked up the idle. It's not a bad little saw. But we're going to send her out for sale. Not going to make a fortune, it's a cheap saw. But it runs, and it's better than collecting dust. Hey guys, thanks for watching Digging Deep. I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride with us, getting this chainsaw going. Look for more videos to come. Don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, give us a like, and don't forget to turn on the bell notifications. We'll catch you next time.